Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to our festival, Spirit of Tibet, celebrating culture and compassion. I hope you are having a wonderful time exploring the rich heritage of Tibetan culture and spirituality. This afternoon, we have an exciting seminar on the history, development, and efficacy of Tibetan traditional medicine and Astro-Science. This session will provide us with a unique perspective on the ancient wisdom of Tibetan medicine and astrology and their relevance and application in modern healthcare. To guide us through this enlightening session, it is my pleasure to introduce our chairperson, Dr. Tseten Mingyur. Dr. Tseten Mingyur is a respected practitioner of Tibetan medicine and the deputy head of the Medicine Medical Department at Mensikang. He graduated with a degree in Tibetan medicine and surgery in 2008 and an MD certificate in 2019. Dr. Mingyur has extensive experience in medical research, consultation, and lectures across India and internationally. He has authored 2 books on Tibetan medicine and dietary regimens, published numerous articles, and serves as an assistant professor at Mensikang College. He also contributes to the translation and review of the key Tibetan medical texts. Dr. Tseten Mingyur, we are honored to have you with us today. Joining with him, we have our esteemed panel of speakers, Mr. Tenzin Loden from TASP. Please welcome. Dr. Passang Wangdue and Dr. Sonam Wangmo. I now hand over the session to Dr. Tseten Mingyur and kindly request him to introduce our speakers and speak on the topic, history and the development of Tibetan medicine, and to chair the session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the introduction. As mentioned, I'm Dr. Tseten from Mensikang Tibetan Medical and Astro Institute based in Dharamsala. So, Dash Deleg and on behalf of Mensikang, I welcome you all to this seminar on the topic regarding the history and development of Tibetan medicine, and on the history and development of Tibetan Astro-Science, and on the efficacy of Tibetan medicine on cancer treatment, and on the mental health care in Tibetan medicine. So without taking much time, let me introduce our speakers. Our first speaker is Tenzin Loden, and he is a Tibetan Astro-Science practitioner. Loden did his schooling in Tibetan Children's Village with a major in science and mathematics. He also served the school as a volunteer teacher for 5 months after graduation. He then joined Tibetan Medical and Astro College, where he studied Tibetan Astro-Science for 5 years and did 1-year internship at the Astro-Science Department of Mensikang. In March 2014, he was appointed Tibetan Astro-Science lecturer and has taught regularly at the college for 6 years. On January 2, 2020, he was appointed the head of newly established Tibetan Astro-Science Outreach and Development Department. Over the years, he had the honor to represent and speak for Tibetan Astro-Science at various conferences, workshops, and also entertain astrological consultation in India, Japan, USA, and Europe. He's also a member of the Tukdum Postmodern Meditation Committee, Mensikang's Terminological English to Tibetan Committee, and editorial member of the Mensikang's English Journal. Besides teaching, he served as an interpreter at international conferences for Tibetan Buddhism, Tibetan Astro-Science scholars. From 2006 to 2017, he was also active with Peace Gem Foundation, a non-profit working closely with Nobel Peace Laureates. Then the next speaker is Dr. Passang Wangdue. Dr. Passang Wangdue has been practicing Tibetan medicine for more than 25 years. He has served Mensikang at various capacities such as resident doctor of Gangdok branch clinics, Shimla branch clinics, pharmaceutical department, Translation Department, lecturer at Dharamsala College, and principal of Bangalore College of Menzikang. He has attended several seminars and workshops as a resource person and course instructor. He has also been deputed to Namgyal Institute of Tibetology, Sikkim, as a professor of Swarikpa department. He studied Buddhist psychology for 2 years. Currently, Dr. Wangdue is serving as the doctor in charge of Kamala branch clinic of Menzikang and Dehradun. Then we have our last speaker, Dr. Sonam Wangmo. Dr. Sonam Wangmo graduated with a member Kachuba degree, Bachelor in Tibetan Medicine from Menzikang College, Dharamsala in 2008. She began her career as a research doctor at the Research and Development Department in 2009, and later served as a clinic doctor at Nizamuddin Branch Clinic in New Delhi from 2010 to 2016. During this period, she balanced her research work with routine medical consultation, contributing to clinical studies on conditions such as diabetes, hypertension, hepatitis B, HB pylori infection, and generalized anxiety disorder. In 2015, she represented Tibetan medicine Swarikpa at Jawaharlal Nehru University's Dialogue on Diabetes, Avenue in New Delhi, and played a key role in organizing a conference on Tibetan medicine in collaboration with the PhD Chamber of Commerce in 2016. Dr. Sonam received her member Kachuba degree equivalent to an MD in 2019. Currently serving as the deputy head of department, Dr. Sonam continued to oversee ongoing research projects, actively engaged in promoting Tibetan medicine in contemporary contexts. She has delivered numerous presentation lectures, including as a guest speaker at the National Conference on Understanding Psychology and its Practice, Eastern and Western Perspective, held at the India Habitat Center in 2020. Her work reflects a commitment to integrating traditional Tibetan medicine with modern medical practices, aiming to enhance the understanding and application of Swarikpa in addressing various health challenges. So I welcome you all, and all the participants, also the speakers. So without taking much time, let me start my presentation on it's the first presentation of this seminar. So my presentation is on the topic of history and development of Tibetan medicine, or Swarikpa. So before knowing the history and development of Tibetan medicine, it's important to know the origin of Tibetan medicine, or Swarikpa. So there are some scholars, they have mentioned that the Swarikpa, or the Tibetan medical system, is originated more than 2,500 years ago. And there are also scholars who have mentioned that the system of medicine is as old as the Tibetan civilization itself. So in some research articles, it has mentioned that the modern human first inhabited in Tibetan plateaus at least 21,000 years ago. So this is kind of the basic idea of Tibetan history and how old it is. Then when we talk about the origin of Tibetan medicine, there are a few aspects. The first one is based on the practical experiences and discoveries that we made in day-to-day life while dealing with the different types of diseases that are occurring in the Tibetan high plateaus. For example, through those practical experiences and discoveries, we have known the uses of boiled water for treating indigestion. Likewise, for treating inflamed swelling, we have discovered and experienced that the uses of gallstone compression to treat inflamed swelling. So there are many such medical practicals that has been discovered, that has been known through practical experiences and discoveries through our day-to-day life. Then the second aspect of origin of Tibetan medicine is based on the studying of animal behaviors. So there are many medicine plants which has been discovered and have been known the uses of these medicine plants by observing animals and birds when they are injured. So the scholars have observed the behavior of these animals and birds when they are injured and see what kind of medicine plants they are using to treat themselves. So through these kind of observation, we have discovered many such medicinal plants to treat injuries like that. For example, by observing the behavior of musk deer when they are injured, we have discovered the uses of these types of plants. We call it Soacia hokurea. Soacia hokurea is a botanical name. In Tibetan, it is called gudu. So likewise, by observing the behavior of skyclark, we have discovered the uses of Sosoroceres hokiarena. In Tibetan, it is called Sorgonsebo. So there are many such medicinal plants which has been, the uses of these medicinal plants has been known by observing the behavior of these animals and birds. So this is the second aspect of the origin of Tibetan medicine. And the third aspect of origin of Tibetan medicine is based on the knowledge of Bön tradition. Bön tradition exists around 600 BC, before the establishment of Buddhism in Tibet. So we consider the first physician of Tibet is considered as the eldest son of the Bön founder, Dumpa Shirab. And his eldest son, name of the eldest son is Chebu Tishi. So he is considered as the first physician of Tibet. So at that time, around 600 BC, there is a separate medical practices before the flourish of Buddhism in Tibet. Then the fourth aspect is the integration of knowledges. So we can say that the present Tibetan medical system is the integration of many knowledges, such as the indigenous Tibetan medical practices. Then there is the knowledge from Buddhism, then knowledge from Ayurveda, Chinese medicine, and Persian medicine. So at present, we can say that the present Tibetan medical system is an integrated system of all these traditions. So as I mentioned, around 600 BC, there is the Bön tradition, so it has its own medical practices. So that becomes a kind of indigenous Tibetan medical system. So the eldest son of the Bön founder is considered as the first physician of Tibet. Then in 4th century, during the reign of 28th king of Tibet, Sathodoro Nyenze, very famous two physicians from India visit Tibet and practice there. And they become very famous in Tibet. And even the king requested them to stay in Tibet and practice their medical knowledge and teach their medical knowledge. Or even the king has offered his daughter, Princess Yigyurcha, to be the wife of Bijikaji. So later, Princess Yigyurcha gave birth to Dungyu Torjo. So Dungyu Torjo have learned medicine from his father and become very famous. And his sons has served as the personal physician to the kings of their time for the next 4 generations. And you can say this is the beginning of having connection with Ayurveda since 4th century. Then in the 7th century, during the reign of 33rd king of Tibet, Songtse Gampo, and physicians from India, China, Persia were invited. So the king, at that time, each physician wrote one treaty, and later that treaty was incorporated into one text that is called Mijibek Tsunja. And also at that time, the king's wife, Chinese wife, Wenshin Guangzhu, also brought a Chinese medical text, and which was later translated into Tibetan. And one of the important medical texts, or Chinese medical texts, called Wangdue Neijing. So it is also one of the reference texts for Gyushi. Gyushi is the principal text of the present Tibetan medical system. So from here we can know there is the interconnection of Chinese medicine also in the present Tibetan medical system. Then in the 8th century, during the 38th king of Tibet, Tseten, Buddhism began to flourish in Tibet. And at that time, a very important medical conference was held at Samye in Tibet under the patronage of the king, Tseten. And many physicians from India, China, Persia, East Turkestan, Nepal were invited to share their knowledge and exchange their knowledge with the Tibetan physicians. And during that time, Elder Yudo Yundegumbu and has represented Tibet at the conference. Then Elder Yudo Yundegumbu is considered as the father of Tibetan medicine. And he has traveled many times to India and China to study medicine. And after studying medicines from India, China, and in particular after the conference that held at Samye in Tibet, he began to integrate those medical knowledges. And he wrote the older version of Gyushi, as I mentioned, the main text of Tibetan medicine, or the principal text of Tibetan medicine. So he has written it in 8th century. So that became the basis of the present Tibetan medical system. And he has also established the first medical institute called Tanaduk in Gyeongbu in Tibet. Then in the 10th century, the great translator Rinchen Sangbo put great contribution in reviving Buddhism and Tibetan medicine after the destruction of Buddhism by the 42nd king, Langdharma, in the 9th century. And lots of Rinchen Sangbo, great translator, lots of Rinchen Sangbo also studied Astanga Hidriya Samhita and his commentary, Dasar, Moonlight. If you translate it literally, it's called Moonlight. So this has become a very important text, also which was later translated into Tibetan. And this text also became one of the reference texts of Gyushi also. So that was translated into 10th century. Then in the 12th century, younger Yudo Yundegumbu, and he began to study medicine at the age of 8. And he has visited India several times to learn medicines and has written many texts on Tibetan medicine. And most importantly, and in particular, he has rewritten the older version of Gyushi, the fourth tantra, that is the fundamental text of Tibetan medicine, into present version, which is more complete and comprehensive by integrating more medical knowledge into it. So as I mentioned, this is the Gyushi, the four tantras, which has 4 volumes, And the first one is the root tantra. The second one is the explanatory tantra, then the oral tantra, and the last one is the subsequent tantra. So this text contains 156 chapters with 5,900 verses, and dealing with 8 branches of medicines, such as the general health and disease, there's pediatric, gynecology, disorder caused by evil, or we can term it as psychology. Then there's wounds inflicted by trauma, toxicology, rejuvenation, and infertility. So these are the 8 branches of medicine which was mentioned in the principal text of Tibetan medicine called Gyushi, or the 4 tantras. Then in 14th and 15th century, 2 schools of Tibetan medicine began to emerge. One is called Changpa School of Medicine, which was mostly flourished in the central Tibet. Then there is the Surba tradition of Tibetan medicine, which is mostly flourished in southern Tibet. The main differences of these 2 schools of medicine is based on some kind of treatments and some based on the identification and use of some plants, because certain plants are not grown in the southern part of Tibet, but some are not grown in the central part of Tibet. So that's why the only main difference is the uses and identification of some kind of plants. So that is the main differences in this tradition. But both the tradition is based on the main principal text called Gyushi. So the both school of medicine is based on the main text. Then in 17th century, during the Great Fifth Dalai Lama, the Great Fifth Dalai Lama appointed this is Sangye Gyaltso, the Regent Sangye Gyaltso. Then under the guidance of Regent Sangye Gyaltso, 79 medical thanga was drawn. Actually, the medical paintings were started to be drawn since 12th century. And there is a whole of 80 medical paintings, which was completed in 17th century during his time. This is Sangye Gyaltso. So, and these 80 medical paintings illustrate the whole concepts of Tibetan medicine. And in this, it has illustrated regarding anatomy, physiology, diagnostic method, treatments, and all the, you can say, the 8 branches of medicine is illustrated in all these medical paintings. And he also established the Chokpo Medical College in 1696. And he has written the most popular commentary on Gyushi. Let's keep this, okay. Then in the 19th century, during the great 13th Dalai Lama, the Menzikan, the Tibetan Medical Astro Institute, was first established in 1916. So the great 13th Dalai Lama appointed Keranova as the director of both Chokpo Medical College and Menzikan. And Keranova has written many medical books. And later, he became the lead personal physician to the 14th Dalai Lama were his disciples, such as the late Dr. Ishido and then the recipient of Padma Shri of medicine from India. Then let's talk about some the development or the status of Tibetan medicine in exile. So after the occupation of Tibet by China, so the Menzikan, which was established by the 13th Dalai Lama in 1916, was re-established in India, in Dharamsala, in 1961. So at present, Menzikan is a charitable, cultural, and educational institution. So as I mentioned, it was re-established in 1961 in Dharamsala. So there are 2 pictures, and the upper one is the beginning of Menzikan in 1960s, with only 1 clinic. So the lower picture is the present picture of the main office of Menzikan Dharamsala. So at present, Menzikan has several departments, such as the main administration. There are 2 colleges. One is based in Dharamsala, one is based in Bangalore. And there are 2 pharmacy units, 4 research departments, and around 60 clinics in India, Nepal, and abroad. And the main objectives of the Menzikan is to preserve, promote, and practice Swarigpa, or Tibetan medicine and Tibetan Astro-Science. And it also aims to provide accessible healthcare to all the people, regardless of caste, creed, color, and nationality. Then, gradually, after the establishment of Menzikan in 1961, under the leadership of His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, gradually other medical colleges began to establish, like the Tibetan Medical Section at the Central Institute of Buddhist Studies at Leh in Ladakh was established in 1989. Like in the Chokpo Medical College established in 1992. Then Tibetan Medicine Department at Central Institute of Higher Tibetan Studies, Saranath in 1993. Then CCTM established in 2004. Then most importantly, in 2010, Tibetan medicine is legally recognized as Swarigpa in India under the Ministry of Ayush. Then from 2012, 2012, the Swarba system of medicine is included in the Central Council of Indian Medicine. Then later, the Pelbong Higher Tibetan Studies was established in 2011. Then Tibetan Medical College Sorik Bumshim Institute was established in 2021. In 2014, then there is Namgyal Institute of Tibetology established in 2017. And 2019, the National Institute of Swargba in Leh was established. So it's an autonomous institute under the Ministry of Ayush, the Government of India. And Mingyur has also played a very important role in the establishment and development of many of these institutes. Then in Asian countries, let me briefly, in Russia, the Tibetan medicine was officially legalized in 1990. Then and Swargba is officially integrated into Mongolia's national health system as a traditional Mongolian medicine and is covered by national health insurance. Then in Bhutan, the Swargba officially became part of the national healthcare system in 1967. Then in Nepal, in 2018, with the establishment of Ayurveda and Traditional Medicine Council in Nepal, the Tibetan medical system or pharmacy became legally recognized by the Health Department of Nepal in 2020. So between 2000 and 2017, there is a tenfold growth of Swargba pharmaceutical industry in Asia. So in 2017, the industry had a total sale of value of $677.5 million US. And China and Tibet generate almost 98% of total sale of value. And India has the second largest Swargba pharmaceutical industry with an annual sale value of $11 million US. So in the West, there are many medical institutes has been established over the years. So that's concluded. So this is the reference that I've referred for my presentation. And thank you so much. So may I request next speaker, Loden, to start his presentation.
Both the Tibetan medicine and Tibetan Astro-Science, works to decode and understand the world around, the external world, and help somehow into betterment of the living of the internal sentient beings. In that way, it was such a wonderful to have rain while we were having the lunch, and now to receive it as we begin the session. So I believe it is all in the dance of auspiciousness. Good afternoon, everyone. It is indeed a great privilege and absolute honor to represent Tibetan Astro-Science here and to share a little wisdom from the subject. The topic I am assigned is the history and development of traditional Tibetan Astro-Science and its application on healthcare. So whenever I am present with any such opportunity, I take the greatest of joy in paying the homage. So the theme for today's event is the celebrating culture and compassion. For me, celebrating culture and compassion is celebrating the galactic and the unparalleled life of His Holiness that he has blessed. So, and in the traditional custom, we pay homage, if I may side, the reason I would say it comes to two. Number one is seeking the blessing for the fulfillment of the endeavor. Number two is a mark of respect and regard, and somehow sourcing to the very source of the wisdom. So dedicating all his body, speech, and mind to make this world a better place, even exchanging his own happiness with the suffering of others, echoing oneness in the language of loving kindness and compassion, teaching others to smile and be little kinder to each other. My only Buddha, please live long and healthy. The great 20th century traditionalists by the likes of Ananda Kumaraswamy ji, Sir A.K. Saranji, and Professor Kyabjisam that we had this morning, they all assert that for a subject to be called traditional, it needs to have three principal ingredients. Number one is that it should come from a valid source or someone with an authority. So when you talk about Tibetan Astro-Science, and for those who are unaware, Tibetan Astro-Science is a conjoined word that we have been using for the traditional Tibetan astronomy and astrology. So when you talk about the astronomy, the traditional Tibetan astronomy finds its root in the Kalachakra Tantra. So Kalachakra Tantra was taught by Gautama Buddha in his final year on this earth at a place called Danyagata Stupa in Amravati, so which is approximately 1,800 kilometers from here. So this is one part of the wisdom, and it talks more about the very formation of the universe and how the celestial objects move and so forth. And the second part of the wisdom is the elemental astrology. So elemental astrology is believed to be taught by Buddha Manjushri, the wisdom Buddha. So it was taught in Mount Wutaishan, the place that His Holiness dearly wants to visit. So it was preached there. So introduction of these two has been the very source of Tibetan Astro-Science. But having said that, one of the less celebrated aspects is the ancient Tibetan Astro-Science. The wisdoms, the knowledge, the gatherings that our forefathers have somehow been able to decode, decipher, and collect since the very beginning of the Tibetan civilization. So it refers to all the oral stories that our grandpa and grandmas have passed on to us. So these three aspects also, in a way, constitutes the history or the very origin of the Tibetan Astro-Science. And if I may say one thing, one reason why, as a Tibetan Astro-Science, not just as a Tibetan, why we pay homage to His Holiness as the very beginning of the Tibetan Astro-Science presentation is that we also believe His Holiness to be a human manifestation of Pundarika, who is the second Kalki king and also a beholder of Kalachakra tradition. So coming back to here, and then the second reason that they have cited for a subject to be traditional is that it needs to be practiced throughout the generations from the very source of till the very present day. So looking into the Tibet's history, we never had a very easy history like many other countries. So there was tumult, there was invasion, there was genocide, and there were many other problems. But somehow, one thing that we have been successful is restoring and somehow passing the knowledge. So in a way, if I may say, I would say the present generation Tibetan doctors in Tibetan Astro-Science will be able to read the texts that were taught by the Buddha or the Manjushri, if it's in Tibetan. So somehow we have been able to pass on the knowledge from one container to another container, just as it is. So in a way, the second criteria for a subject to be called traditional, I think Tibetan Astro-Science also fulfills it wonderfully. So the third aspect is a very important one. What they say is that for a subject to be traditional, it needs to be something that will provide help and benefit to sentient beings for now and forever. So in the support of this, one thing that attested at the very origin times of the Tibetan Astro-Science, so it was about the coming of the almanac. So that almanac has served in terms of the livelihood of the two main professions that existed at the very that time. It is the nomadic lifestyle and the farming. So it was all about understanding the celestial movements, the changes in the floras and faunas, the seasons, the rains. So these were very crucial and instrumental in terms of having a more prosperous year for the Tibetan livelihood. And then on throughout the centuries, there were developments, there were great masters who have championed in coming up with more important literatures, more practical literatures, so much so that the applications have been very instrumental, that His Holiness the Great 13th Dalai Lama has advised that every family should cast a birth horoscope to a newborn so that it serves also in terms of maintaining the wellness of the mother and the both child. So when you talk about the Tibetan Astro-Science, and also, if I may say, about the Tibetan medicine, the very essence comes to the 5 elements. So 5 elements is the secret that one needs to decode, and the secret is all about balancing the elements. As I begin with the rainfall, so the change in the external conditions, and somehow understanding it and learning it, and also employing it in our welfare and wellness, this is the secret that will help somehow in living a more successful and meaningful life. So the 5 elements have been beautifully used in many of the literatures, many of the texts in different aspects, be it in the grosser or the subtler, or even the more subtler aspects, or in terms of macroscopic and the microscopic, or in defining the outer world or the inner world. So 5 elements plays a very crucial role. So here I have tried to employ 3 examples to support it. The first is the more revered, the 5 Buddhas. So when you talk about the 5 Buddhas, so we have the Buddha Vairochana at the very center, with both flanked by the Buddha Amitabha and Amoghasiddha and Ratnasambhava and all. And then when you talk about a thing that is more in the fashion, so it is the prayer flags. So you have prayer flags. Traditionally, it used to be more on the higher aspects. Now we have on the motorcycles and cars and everywhere. So it's all about the 5 colors representing 5 elements, and in terms of balancing the 5 elements, so that we are able to live a life more meaningfully. And then in terms of more raw example, I would say in terms of making something like chapati, so it is also a product of 5 elements. When you have the floor itself representing the earth element, and then having some water in terms of making it a dwarf, that comes the water element, and then on a hearth, when you have the chapati in a perfect shape, trying to cook it, then the fire element comes into play, and then at the very final picture, as you can see, so we have a puffed up, wonderful chapati, just as we had for the lunch. So that has the air and space elements, so 5 elements. So in a way, in many of the literatures, it is said that be it tangible or not, everything is a product of 5 elements. The very construct, the very destruction, it is all in terms of 5 elements. The very formation of the universe, the very formation of our body is all a product of 5 elements. So if you want to be happy, healthy, and everything, it's just having the balance of 5 elements. And then, so that was supposed to be the history and the development, since I only have the 15 minutes here. So then, coming to the more interesting, or the supposed more interesting, that is the application on the healthcare. So I would like to construct in this aspect. So Gautama Buddha has been wonderful in saying that everyone desires happiness and no one desires suffering. And then he lays out that there are somehow 4 inevitable sufferings that no one can run away from. So as everyone knows, it's the birth, aging, sickness, and death. And from my experience, so I might sound a little bit more selfish in terms of having it in the comfort of the Tibetan Astro-Science, but I would still say from the experience, I do find that for the birth, the suffering of birth, marital compatibility horoscope does play a role, because when you talk about a newborn, so it definitely has a role of a father and a mother, the compatibility of the father and the mother, the support of the both parents somehow does help in terms of having a more healthy and happier birth and the early years of a newborn. So marital compatibility horoscope is something that is very exclusive to Tibetan Astro-Science, but nowadays more number of people are taking interest, so that at the very wedding, so bride and the groom having a more compatible aspects. In terms of less compatibility, we do suggest antidotes that helps to somehow understand each other more wonderfully, so that the following years are more meaningful and more healthy. And the second aspect is aging. From the very birth, as cited by many great masters, it's just a run towards the death. But it's all about aging more graciously. One of the greatest masters of Tibetan Astro-Science, the great 17th century master by the name of Desi Sanghya Rinpoche, he has mentioned in his book that there are 12 kinds of death. Only one of the death is the normal death. So that is when everything is gray, when there are wrinkles, and we say it's time to say bye-bye. And he says the other 11 ones are of conditions. So you see in the news the accidents, the suicides, the depressions, and there are malnourishment aspects and many others. So these are more of the conditional death. So that thus he says the art of cause and condition is ever so true. And in that aspect, for someone, a young one, to groom, to have the 5 elements, nurture, and finally to say bye-bye more meaningfully, we find the help of natal horoscope. So natal horoscope is so important, as I've said before, that the great His Honor's Tseten Dalai Lama also asserted that every newborn should have it. So nowadays, not just in the traditional aspect, we have everything in the written aspect. Nowadays, we also have it more oral conversation, where someone with all his or her birth details sits with an astrologer and talk for 45 minutes, discuss about life, where you can ask questions and something like that. So if you are interested, so more like a marketing strategy, so we are having it next month at our Nizamuddin branch clinic, so you can contact the clinic and have the reservations. And then the third aspect is in terms of sickness, which is inevitable, so we have the medical horoscope. I do know that when someone gets sick, doctor is the first person you visit. So, but many a times, or I would say sometimes, the illness is such that it has been a product of the karmic imprints, where not just having the best medicine and the best doctor is the only solution, where you need a little bit of luck, a little bit of prayers, and a little bit of right timings. So in that decodement, so we have the role of an astrologer. So in the traditional aspect, we have people asking which medical system is more favorable for my health issues, and which doctor in particular is more favorable for the particular. So these are something that is more exclusive usually to the Tibetan Buddhist domain, but nowadays for people especially suffering more of the terminal and the chronic illnesses, doctors also suggest in that aspect. And then finally we have the death, which is also inevitable. So in the and with the death of someone, it's not just that someone passes away, but many a times the remaining family members suffers overwhelmingly. And the suffering is so much that death leads to many other problems. So in the Tibetan custom, when someone passes away, we have this horoscope for the disease, where we not just provide prayers for the deceased person so that his afterlife is somehow more meaningful if you are a believer in rebirth. Also, for the remaining family members, we do suggest prayers and things that can somehow help them to cope with the suffering of the loss of their loved ones. So when you talk about the healthcare, so for us, it's many a times it's like this. So we have people from different backgrounds, believers and non-believers, so people of all races and colors coming to us. And then this is an example, or the picture is representation of how things work. So in that, we have this chart radiate, and this is just a picture representation of myself doing a consultation, and the middle person is said to be the translator if required. So that is how we do. So look into, because in the Tibetan Astro-Science domain, we say that our life is divided into 9 different parts. So it's more about when you should be making more effort, when you should be more careful, and when you should full flank your effort. So in that aspect, it is more of, it is not just about making life perfect, it is more about helping the person understand himself or herself more clearly so that their energies are more spot on and they are able to use the best of their opportunities and live their life more meaningfully. At the left bottom, the picture that you can see are the amulets that we have also at our exhibition and also at the sales on our counter. So amulet is not just about protection, it is also about prevention and also about curation. So one thing from my decade-long experience that I found is that you don't really have to be a believer for the amulet to work. So especially past the COVID, so I've been visiting Nizamuddin for clinic. It has been 4 times that we have the consultation. And from my experience itself, so the amulet have books wonder. So this is one such antidote that we recommend. So it's not the only antidote, there are many others. So I've just put it here more as an example. And then this is just, as we are a little short of time, so just to show a small research that we have done on the mental health problem, understanding how we can decode it in the language of Tibetan Astro-Science, and what are the efforts that we can make from the Tibetan Astro-Science in terms of having a more healthier and happier world. So if you're interested, so it has been published in the Menzi Journal, the annual journal of our Menzikang, so it was in the 7th volume. And the most important slide of all, so for the thank you. So this is something that I have yearned to share with you. Everyone you meet is suffering a battle you know nothing about. So be kind always. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Lodela, for your wonderful presentation. And now I request our next speaker, Dr. Kamala, to begin his presentation.
So, good afternoon to all my brothers and sisters. Today my topic is on efficacy of Tibetan medicine on cancer treatment. So before I start, I pay my homage to His Holiness the Dalai Lama. As Londela, my colleague said, His Holiness regarded as the Buddha of compassion. When I first saw the title, Spirit of Tibet, Celebrating Culture and Compassion, I first see the face of His Holiness. Because when we talk about Spirit of Tibet, normally we see the face of His Holiness. Normally people don't understand, where are you from? Tibet, they don't know. The Dalai Lama people is also one way of understanding us. Another thing is that why we appreciate His Holiness is that He is a symbol of compassion. And why we appreciate compassion, whether we like it or not, compassion is the ultimate solution for all diseases, either it's physically or emotionally. So everybody knows, but we have difficulty in practice of this compassion. So even in the medical text, it was said that the ultimate cause of disease is emotionally, mentally. It means there should be some solution emotionally. It should come through mind. So that's the reason it's worth that we are celebrating the compassion. So I want to begin with paying homage to His Holiness the Dalai Lama, or paying my homage to compassion. So when I was asked the topic, I'm really not ready how to present that talk. Sometimes when there is only 15 minutes, I'm worried whether this 15 minutes talk, how can I help them? I have audience. One thing, I have no idea what kind of audience will be. So again, when we talk about the cancer, everybody fear about the cancer. And another thing is that I want to tell you that I'm not a Tibetan specialist, cancer specialist like that. But what I felt is that, of course, we also, not only cancer, we handle all kinds of diseases. So according to my own kind of experience, I would express how this cancer causes and what kind of diseases causing cancer and how to avoid them. So normally we have idea. Normally people say it, if you smoking causes cancer, lung cancer. Alcoholic causes kind of liver cancer. And then using this kind of tobacco, using mouth cancer will cause. And it's said that, and it's also very clear in our kind of clinic also, we will see the same things. So how to prevent that? I think we have to avoid something which is harmful, isn't it? So what I felt, my topic was on efficacy of Tibetan medicine on cancer treatment. I split it into three. First, what is Tibetan medicine? And then the efficacy of Tibetan medicine and its efficacy on cancer treatment. That would be helpful. So regarding what is Tibetan medicine, my colleague already presented regarding this, its origin from Tibet. And main interesting thing is that what we are learning is the 4 medical tantras. It's right here with me. So actually it was written in the 8th century and edited in the 13th century, as my colleague said. So we are practicing the same here. So what is unique is that the more you study, you need to go deeper. Difficult to understand. I've been teaching for the last 11, 12 years in the college. I was saying, though I'm a teacher, lecturer, we passed 2-3 years back, but still, the more you learn, still there are more things to learn. I was feeling that this will not understand in this lifetime. It's not easy. Because when we talk about health and disease, it's not just physical things, as I told you. We have to understand all the emotional level and physical level all, isn't it? So this is the 4 medical tantras we have been studying, and what I'm expressing is all based on this text. Tibetan medicine is technically called Soarikpa, the science of healing. And regarding the Indian government, officially included Tibetan medicine in the nomenclature Soarikpa under Ayush. And before, it used to be Ayurveda, Unani, Yoga, Siddha, and Homeopathy. Now comes Soarikpa. This also, we are very grateful for the Indian government, not only including Soarikpa, and of course, the knowledge about kind of compassion also comes from the Buddhist tradition, which is originated from India also. So the second topic is on efficacy of Tibetan medicines. I have randomly write whatever I normally see in my clinic, whatever I see the patients, So I randomly write all those kind of diseases that people are experiencing these days. Why I have written, and this kind of conditions, Tibetan medicine is very, very effective. Otherwise, people may not come. Then what makes to put this here, as I've written here? If these conditions are not treated in time, it gets chronic and contribute to cancer. It's very clear. So while we treat various types of cancer, the base medicine are same. If you have liver cancer, our medicine should be focused on the liver, of course, and to the abnormal cell or abnormal blood. So these are the some conditions. Some of you here may be experiencing all this kind. Hence, Tibetan medicine not only contributes in treating these disorders, but also immensely beneficial for the prevention of various types of cancer. So what I was feeling is that when we treating this kind of conditions, I feel that, we are preventing various types of cancer. If I go through the causes of cancer, I would say like that. Tibetan medicine believes that cancer is caused by proliferations of abnormal blood, which is further solidified by lung energy. This is the essence that was mentioned here. We use the term nyentak. So it's abnormal blood. So how this abnormal blood cause? Actually there are three ways, but it can be categorized into two. Like abnormal blood is attributable to inflammation caused by traumatic injuries. Now you see in this 21st century, a lot of developments in the technologies. There are a lot of cases of accidents, injuries like that. So you see, if we have not treated these injuries properly or at time, then over a period of time, like 10, 15, 20 years, it may cause cancer. There are many cases like that. Suppose you had an injury, broken kind of bones. If you are not properly treated for like that, then it might cause cancer in the long run. So this trauma, this kind of trauma, we should be very careful these days. In our clinic, every day there is a cases of trauma. Either it's because of accidents, bike accident, vehicle accidents. If it's in the village, they are falling from the tree. Yeah, and younger generation causes of this one, gym. These days trends of gym. Most people comes after gyms, they have a problem with the disc problems. So when this kind of problems remains for long period, then it turns into spondylosis, and later it might cause us cancer. So this is also one way to handle this kind of traumatic things. Another thing is inflammation caused by overexposure to improper diet and lifestyle. Normally, too much of spicy things, too much of fermented food like that. And regarding pollution, nothing to say. Air pollution, chemical pollutions, many types of pollutions are there that also causing inflammation in our blood. Then that slowly causes cancer. And the third is that poor absorption of nutrients and abnormal synthesis of blood in the liver due to poor metabolism. In our clinic, about 60 to 70% have problem with the poor metabolisms, even here. So if these metabolic disorders will remain for a long time, then first it affects your digestive system, stomach. Then this impure blood causes liver infection, causes infection in the liver. Then if that infection remains in the liver for a long time, longer period, then it might cause kind of abnormal blood, which is the result of this kind of cancers. So that's why we always say that the ultimate cause of most of the cancer is our digestive systems. So when we say digestive, we are not referring only to the gastric cancer or liver cancer. Even other cancer also affected by our digestive systems. Now there was a time in early days people are starving. They have not getting enough food. But in the 21st century, people are overeating. Most problem comes from overeating. But I'm not saying that all kind of gaining weight caused by overeating. This also caused by kind of poor metabolism. So when we say this kind of three kind of causes here, the inflammation caused by traumatic injury and inflammation caused by, these are the two nature. These are warm nature. And the third one is the cold nature. Why this is happening? Because of our nature, body nature. Normally, when we categorize our physical or emotional nature, there are two types. One is cold nature, one is hot nature. This is more related with the Chinese theory of yin and yang. Now, with our audience, some people have tendency to are too cold, some tendency too hot, isn't it? So, what's our suggestion is that if those who are too cold nature, you should be careful with the cold things. Normally, we advise warm food, warm drinks for the cold people. If those are too much heat, then we should avoid all kind of fatty things like that. The idea of metabolism is more like that. Now these days, problem with the high cholesterol. First comes problem with the digestion. Then comes the problem with the liver. The liver problem started with the fatty liver. Then comes the high cholesterol. And then liver cirrhosis, then liver cancer. I give an example. So you see, why this people feel that maybe this liver problem is mainly caused by only this alcoholic drinks, not necessarily only alcoholic drinks, mainly because of the poor metabolic system itself, overeating and eating at late night, that also affecting digestive systems. I don't know what you call in Agni, in Ayurveda, term Agni, digestive heat. That's very, very important. So how we are handling this kind of various types of cancer? It's according to the nature. Because you see, as I said in the beginning, this impure blood is accumulated by the lung energy. Lung energy is responsible for our all blood circulations. Yeah. So normally we say that disease state, when we see any kind of cancer or any kind of disease state, normally we categorize two ways, like healthy mind in an unhealthy body. Yeah, healthy mind in an unhealthy body. That's normally it happens. Yeah, some people who are physically weak, very weak, mentally very strong. We can see that, isn't it? So what we focus is we are focusing mainly on the physical kind of disturbances, and then the second kind of disease state is that unhealthy mind in a healthy body. They are physically fit and rich, and everything is there, but emotionally always suffering. So slowly it might cause any kind of diseases. So for these cases, normally we say, for the emotional disturbance, there is no any medications. Either it's a tradition or either it's a modern medicine. There are no medicine for the emotion. Emotion you have to handle by yourself. You are your own master. Buddha already said that. But how can we help if somebody is psychologically disturbed? Of course, we can balance the energy that supports our emotions, of course. So you see, there are many cases like unhealthy mind in a healthy body. So if you are suffering from unhealthy mind, you have to focus more on your emotions. And then the worst state is that unhealthy mind in an unhealthy body. That's the worst state. You are physically sick and emotionally sick, so negative, isn't it? So we have to focus. Normally we say, all medicine will not treat all diseases. 50%, of course, with the help of medicines. 50% with you. You have to take responsibility with the diet and lifestyle you have to change. Normally we say, metabolic disorders, same. You have to change your lifestyle, you have to change your diet. Something wrong, should not focus only on medications. We have to see why it's occurring to me. Otherwise, this medicine is not sufficient. If we are thinking about the plants, they are limited plant. It's not sufficient for all patients. So best medicine is that we all should be our own master to find problem. If you are suffering something, you have to look. Either it's really something wrong with your physical or something your emotion is wrong there. First, you have to recognize that. Then, accordingly, you have to focus on that. So that's why when we handle patients, it's not just medicines we are expecting. Maybe some of you have consulted me. I already told you, it's not just only medicines. You have to take responsibility. If this 50% together, then you will find a perfect health. That's very, very important. And then, of course, as I told you, remedial measures are there. Diet, lifestyle, medicine, and therapy there. So the ultimate cause, ignorance. This morning session with Rinpoche, ignorance is something that we have a self-centeredness. We have a ego mind. There are something we had a feeling that something is really something is solid there. Because of this feeling, you have an attachment towards your own oneself and your own kind of me, I, ours, we, like that, isn't it? Once you attach towards your side, then there is always comes rejecting the others, you and yours, like that. Then comes separations. So in order to remain healthy, there should be some kind of feeling of good warm-heartedness, compassion, like whatever you are doing, whatever, even you are cleaning, there should be some sense of feeling of kind of warm-hearted. If I clean this very nice, most people will enjoy. That's really give me pleasure this way. Any kind of work, either it's small, big, whatever, there should be no stress to your mind. That's very, very important. And for that, you have to see how much your self-centered is there, isn't it? So this I want to add a little bit. And our final goal should be healthy mind in a healthy body. I think our final goal should be like that. So you eat kind of healthy food, live in a healthy kind of lifestyle. At the same time, emotionally should be healthy. So people say emotional, how to remain a healthy mind. I think you have to study. Without study, you can't learn like that. Normally we say, oh, keep calm. But without learning, we can't keep calm. But there are many, many texts now these days, many, many philosophies are there. Whichever you are suitable, I think you should follow that kind of path. That's very, very important, something to learn. Emotional status. There are some negative emotions are there. We have to learn that negative emotions. Which negative emotions, anger is more kind of harming you, or attachment is more harming you, then you find something opposite to that. That's very, very important. So what I'm telling you is that, of course, I practice Tibetan medicine, I give medicines, but whenever I see patient, I always feel, I think he should think like this way, not this way, like that, along with the medicines. So we must focus all, like diet, lifestyle, medicine, and all therapy. If this medicine is not working, then of course we have to focus support from the medicine also, some kind of therapy or whatever. That's important. Maybe time is over. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for Dr. Bawala's insightful presentation. Now I request our last speaker, Dr. Sonam Wangmo, to present his presentation.
Hello, everyone. So I think we are running out of time because of the technical issue. So we started late. So being the last speaker, so I'll try to finish on time and try to convey the message of the Sawadikpa wisdom to maintain or to handle, how to handle the mental health care. And since yesterday, we have been attending the lectures about the ignorance, mind, how to be happy. So this part, so I will skip, and I will try to speak more on the Sawadikpa part. So here are some of the topics that I'm going to speak. The interdependency of body and mind, the root cause and the concept of mind and body, the understanding of mental health disorder in Tibetan medicine, mind and lung relationship, factors aggravating lung energy and its symptoms, management of mental health. So, as physical health or the physical hygiene is important for the for the body, and likewise, the emotional hygiene is also important for the mental health. So it has become a very instrumental for the well-being and for the smooth functioning of our body as well. And it is very much needed, and we have to be very vocal, and has to be very normalized in our day-to-day life as well, because unlike the other physical disorders, people shy to talk about the mental problems they have, and therefore being a physician, I always advocate, or try to speak among my friends, my families, my relatives, colleagues about the how the mental health plays an important role in your workplace, in your family, and especially being a mother, so how it plays a very important role, vital role to to the development for the growth of your child as well. And in the fourth Tantra text, the principal text of the Tibetan medicine, in the explanatory Tantra, the second chapter, so it is mentioned that Tangbo Pame Kuta Kyo Me Pandamshe Le Dang Nyomong Ki Kune Chunga Tsok Bengel to Chak Begyu, which means in Tibetan medicine, no form or the embryo or the fetus cannot be formed without the consciousness or the mind or the awareness. So therefore, the mind and the body are inseparable. Although these two are distinct in nature, but you cannot separate the mind and the body. So you can see the picture here, the house. So mind is the seat of the house, or the body is the seat of the mind, like a guest house, whereas the mind is like a guest. Mm-hmm. So, like earlier, Dr. Passang already mentioned about the root cause. When we speak about the treating any kind of ailments, be it a physical or the mental, so we in Sawarikpa, on the Tibetan medical system, we first have to look out for the root cause. What is the root cause? So it is the root cause. It is because of the ignorance, not knowing the true nature of the phenomenon. So that is the ego, or the selfish, or the self-grasping attitude, and that negative emotions give results to the three mental disposition. That is, in Tibetan, it calls duksum, the attachment, aversion, and the delusion. So as a result, it gives rise to the three nyepa in Tibetan, which is lung, tipa, and pekin, the imbalance of the three principal energy. So when all these three principal energy are in a balanced form, so it means you are in a healthy state. So when these three principles get disrupted, so it is considered as an unhealthy or a disease state. So when we talk about the mental health, so before that we have to know about the nature of the mind, the concept of the mind. So the nature of the mind is light, mobile, unobstructable, and clear, with the potency that appears to control and perceive various sensory objects. Like whatever we perceive through our five sense organs, it's all because of the mind. Right? So although the mind is can't be touched, can't be seen, but it can represent either in the form of destructive or or you can say, when it's It's when it is clouded with the negative emotions, then it acts as a destructive things, or in a constructive way, or if we say in a positive way. So the concept of lu in Tibetan is a body, and it is constituted and sustained from the 3 principal energies, the 7 bodily conditions, and the 3 ways. So what is a mental health disorder? And how the Sowa Rigpa practitioner or the Tibetan medicine view the mental disorder. So when we speak about the mental disorders, it's all about the imbalance of the lung energy. So there are 5 different kinds of lung in our body. So mainly it is the disruption or the imbalance of the Tsokzin lung, which is also known as the life-sustaining lung. So the location of the Tsokzin lung is in the crown, and then it goes down the throat, and then to the heart. So whenever you have anxiety, depression, like insomnia, you can feel that the palpitation, the hollowness, So in Tibetan medicine, the heart is considered as the king and the basis of life and the mind. See, here is the metaphor, the relationship between the mind and the body. So mind is the rider, and the lung, the expression, is the horse. So in present day, we can take an example of the driver and the car. So you are the driver, and the car, in the whichever direction you leads to, is all in your hand, right? So like the ocean and the waves of the ocean. So the waves of the ocean is the lung energy or the expression, and the ocean is the mind. So whenever the understanding of the mental health in Tibetan medicine, as I discussed earlier, that it is all because of the imbalances of the lung energy. So here are some of the factors that aggravates the lung energy. So the lifestyles, like I will talk about this one, the fasting. So these days, the intermittent fasting is trending everywhere. So, but this is not suitable for everyone, right? So we in Tibetan Sowa Rigpa, so prakriti, like the nature. So each individual had their own nature. So therefore, let's say if you are of the lung prakriti, lung nature, so the fasting is not suitable for you. So instead of fasting, you should take warm, nutritious food, right? So, and this one, you might be wondering why I put this picture. So this is we have a separate chapter that of the incidental behavior. There are 13 different kinds of behavior that you should not refrain or forcefully, related with the nature call. So when you forcefully stop or forcefully, stop the nature calls, it will aggravate the lung energy in your body. So likewise, even though the sexual conduct or the intimacy between the couples are very important, but the excessive indulgence is also not suitable for the lung individual as well. And even the manifestation of the disease is also varies. Like, let's take an example of the lung symptoms, Like, even though you are suffering from the same disorders, but the manifestation will differ from each individual. Some lung, let's say if you have a mental imbalances, and some individual tends to talk a lot, and some individuals tends to stay aloof and they don't want to talk. And You might have seen some of the individuals with the mental disorders, like, getting violent, and very like frustration, anger, extreme anger. So it's all because of the excessive pith or the tripa in your body. So even the manifestation of the disorders or the imbalances varies. Like Tibetan medicine is not like one size fits all. Like it's a individualized, and it's not a tailored medicine. So we have discussed about the understanding of the root cause, the body-mind relationship, and the lung and the lung and the mind relationship, and the cause and the symptoms. Now we come to the maintaining the mental health care in the Tibet, in Sowarikpa, in Tibetan medicine. So there are various approach, the therapeutic approach, like diet and lifestyle, oral medicines, external therapies, counseling, and spiritual interventions, and the astro consultation as well. So here are some of the diet recommendation for for maintaining your mental health care, which means to balance your lung energy, and here are some of the picture for the lifestyle. And these days, most of us have a very sedentary lifestyles, like we sit for long hours working on a computer, and which is one of the factor that leads to anxiety, because the anxiety is also known as the diet and lifestyle disorders as well. So try to indulge yourself more in the physical activities and doing meditation, yoga, as Yongge Mingyur has had told us yesterday, and reading spiritual books, or like you can read a good books, and sleeping on time, taking wholesome food, and surround yourself with a good friends, or with a positive environment, which is very important these days, and always keep yourself busy. And in Buddhism, we the mental, as we have talked about the ignorance, the root cause of the mental health. So this is also one of the reason that the most of the people these days suffers from, because they don't control or refrain from doing this. Controlling the acts of their 10 non-virtuous actions, like the actions of body, speech, and mind. So for that, the antidote, like love, compassion, equanimity, joy. So these are the antidotes that you can apply it on your day-to-day life, for the sake of your own happiness and for your surrounding as well. And so this is the destructive emotion: ignorance, desire, attachment, hatred, and the delusion. So for these, the negative emotions, the antidotes for this is the law of interdependency, knowing the nature of the reality, and practice in yourself in the meditation, and the loving kindness, and compassion, and wisdom. So the therapeutic, we have different kinds of medicines, like pills, decoction, and in the powder form. So mostly we give pills for the balancing lung energy, and it's like a body nourishing, lung pacifying medicines, and we also give some lung tea to regulate your sleep as well. Mm-hmm. And here are some of the external therapies, which is very beneficial for those who have a lung imbalance in your body. And here are some of the external therapies like warm oil massages, hormone therapies, and moxibustion, hot compression, medicinal bath, and the fermentation, and the golden needle therapy. And also we do the one-to-one patient-oriented consultation as well. And whenever like you see the patient visiting the Tibetan physician, like those having the mental problems, first we try to calm down or to balance the lung energy. Only then we start the medications or the for the patient. So here are some of the home remedies or takeaway, like the caraway seeds, the nutmeg, so sesame oils that everybody owns in your kitchen. So whenever you had stressed, anxiety, or the insomnia, or the palpitation, so you can use it at your home, or the 3 grams of caraway seeds and 3 grams of the nutmeg. So make it into a powder form and put it in a cloth and like a bowl. And if some of you may not like the smell of the oil, so you can also sniff, or you can put under your pillow, and whenever required, then you can sniff it. So this is very effective. And if you don't have the sesame oil, the clarified butter, ghee, is also very good. And it is very handy, user-friendly, so anyone can use it. So here are some of the points, like the crown, temple, and the lena, which means the tip of your hair, the sternum, and the clavicle bone, and the first lung point, and the 6th and the 7th vertebra, which is the life channel, and the heart channel, and the 4 soles, like 2 palms and the 2 soles. So these are the major lung points. So as my colleague said earlier, so Tani Takigun, which means you are the master of your own, so no one external can come and spoil your internal or the mental peace. So mind is the creator of your own happiness and sorrow, so be the master of your own. So I just want to have to share you a very quick the research that we have done regarding the generalized anxiety disorder in Dharamsala last year. So the aims and objectives of this study is to evaluate the efficacy of traditional Tibetan medicine and the external therapy in the patients of general anxiety disorders. And the second objective is to measure the quality of life. And the study design is of the randomized controlled trial, and we have the total number of the sample size is 100, and it's in the Tibetans residing only in Dharamsala area. And during that study, the number of the patient participated among male and females. When we compare, the number of the females are more and higher than. So even in the scientific research paper, it is already proof that especially the generalized anxiety disorders is 2 to 3 times more higher among women in compared to the men. So even in our study also, we have more number of female.
So may I request to conclude?
Okay. So in conclusion, that this randomized trial control has shown that the Tibetan medicine with the external therapy are safe and alternative treatments for the patients with generalized anxiety disorder. So the mean JD score in the intervention group drastically reduced by 22.881 plus minus 9.796 to 8.214 plus minus 5.764. So therefore, the p-value is very significant, and even the lung symptoms have reduced during the study of the 3 months course. And the study scale we have used the WHO quality of life and Hamilton scale, so which has been valid from the WHO mental health. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sonam, for your wonderful and insightful presentation. Now it's question and answer session. Let me take few questions regarding Tibetan medicine and Tibetan Astro-Science.
One can access the article or the paper. Thank you.
So this presentation is solely for it is not published yet, so maybe next year. So I will, if you want to know more about the result, so you can check on our website as well. Yeah, www.mensikang.org. Okay. Or you can reach out to research development, Mensikang Research Development. Okay.
Thank you very much.
One last question, please. One last question.
Is there any treatment for cancer? What is what you give actually? What medicine you give? And he has lost about 33 kg after 27 chemotherapy in the past 4 months, undergoing treatment at Men's Hospital. So, my question is whether there is any treatment. In case he is not able to come, if you can guide, then he can start some home remedy, whatever you have.
So, the effect of Tibetan medicine on cancer is quite effective, I could say like that. So, what kind of cancer? Pancreatic cancer. Actually, it's complicated, but it could be advisable that both Western medications along with the Tibetan medicine could be helpful. I could suggest like that. Most of the cases in the cancer, normally we advise modern medicine and Tibetan medicine goes together. Quite helpful. But it's advisable to see a patient. That's quite good, because we have to see the nature of the pancreatic cancer. Either it's more kind of inflammatory or less inflammatory. Either it's affecting other digestive systems or not, or his overall health condition, mental conditions, all affects in his treatment.
So what kind of medicine you give?
Medicine, various types of medicines are there actually.
Is it herbal medicine or just broadly?
Yes, it's herbal, pure herbal.
It's based on herbal, pure herbal, yes.
You
herbal
see,
medicine.
regarding our institute, it's the Dalai Lama Institute, and it's called Mensikang. We have about 50-60 branch clinics all over India. Most of the clinics that set up in the kind of cities were set up mainly sponsored by the patients, and mostly cancer patients, I could say like that. So it means that because of the efficacy of cancer patients, they request to set up the clinics. So we have a clinic in the Mumbai also, Delhi also, and Calcutta and Bangalore, everywhere. It's mainly because of the efficacy of Tibetan medicine on cancer patients. So you can consult him either in Delhi or wherever which is you are nearby. Or you can contact me even, because today and tomorrow I will be at the consultation room also. You can contact me personally also.
First of all, thank you so much for taking the time out to come and share your knowledge with us. Just one query. Is there use of heavy metals? Like in Siddha medicine, they use a lot of heavy metals. So is there use of heavy metals in Tibetan medicine? Like mercury or something like that,
So what I could say is that generally all the medicines are more kind of herbals. But there is some kind of heavy metals. It's also possible, but it's not easy to kind of use in the medicines because it needs a lot of process should be gone. There are a lot of processing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I thank our esteemed speaker for sorry, we don't have time. I thank our esteemed speaker for sharing their knowledge on Sowa Rigpa and introducing Sowa Rigpa and its efficacy to the audience. Thank you all. And now I request Geshe Ngong Samdela, former Vice Chancellor of Central Institute of Higher Tibetan Studies, to kindly present our souvenirs to each of the panelists as a token of our gratitude and appreciation. Thank you all.